Welcome to the Too Rich to Miss podcast, a place that is committed to educate, motivate, and inform the Black listener about ways they can live their best lives now using the skills and potential that already lies within, discussing topics relevant to the unapologetically woke Black population. Do you know who you really are? Let's go. Warning. The information you are about to hear may be offensive to certain listeners. Unfiltered truth on the way. If the truth offends you, I suggest you stop listening now. Welcome to the Too Rich to Miss podcast. I am your host, Richard Hawks, and we are coming to you this week talking about today's topic amongst the things that have been happening in the news. There's so much to talk about, but today's topic we're going to be talking about is arm yourself. Now, today this is being recorded on August the 9th of 2019. So to put this in context, because this will probably be listened to way after this date, and hopefully in perpetuity, maybe even some time later. So what's been recently happening is we had two mass shootings that just happened not too long ago. One happened in Dayton, Ohio. Another one happened in El Paso. And then not too long before that, there was one in San Francisco. And then there was another one in at a Brooklyn block party, and then there was another one in South Haven, Mississippi before that. So we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that mass shootings that have happened. Now, these mass shootings all have one thing in common that definitely bothers me, and it definitely should bother anyone else of color. All of these mass shootings have targeted, for the most part, Black people or people of color. The one that just happened in El Paso was mostly targeting Latinos. And, hey, Latinos, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Asians, everyone that has anyone that's not white really should take the time to arm yourself and train. Arm yourself and train. Make sure that you are able to utilize your weapon that you carry, that you've armed yourself with. Training is continual, and it's something that we should all definitely make sure we invest our time in. Those of us that believe in the Second Amendment and want to take advantage of that. As people of color, we need to make sure we're taking advantage of that. Now, granted, I'm not standing here saying that if you're that person that is armed with your sidearm, that, no, you can't go against somebody with an AK-47. However, I'm the type of person who believes in going out with a fight. I'm not going to just let you just take me just because. Hey, you want to be able to at least do something for yours if said person does decide to encounter you. And here's a unique thought as well. Let's say we start to get to a point where people of color are more armed, and when a white supremacist or a white domestic terrorist decides to come and invoke what he thinks is going to be innocent or soft targets, what if to his one AK-47, you have 50, 60 people that run for cover and then can turn around and come back and shoot at this guy? The things kind of turn at this particular point when people start to be able to take care of themselves, which is something that we as people of color, especially Black people, we need to make sure we're doing anyway. Arm yourself and train. Now, I'm not saying do anything. Obviously, I'm not endorsing arming yourself illegally. Because let's keep it real. We're at a time right now, we got Republicans in office. The time to legally arm yourself is now. Because they, hey, how the Republicans get down. They believe in making sure that these white domestic terrorists can get their weapons. So as a result of that, hey, follow the rules and you can arm yourself legally, as this person did. He armed himself legally in El Paso, went in there and shot people. And also, side note, they took him alive, which is always something that's rather intriguing, and not in a good way. When if we so much as sell cigarettes, we get killed. If we get pulled over and reach for our ID in our pocket, we get killed. If they think we are about to reach in our pocket and pull out something, we get killed. Let's see. If we are walking down the street with a hoodie on, holding Gatorade and snacks, we can be followed and killed. If we are proposing to our spouse in an open public area, we can be harassed. And if we are just simply going to a Starbucks and going to be having a meeting with someone, we can be picked up and arrested because we just came in and sat down and we're black. Let's see, what else can we do or not do? I'm thinking to the point that if we breathe wrong, I'm sure there's some white supremacist somewhere that'll find a problem in what that black person or person of color did to give them an excuse to harass, brutalize, or in most cases, kill us. So the time to arm ourselves is now, because I know, as well as you know, that they are not going to do anything to relax the gun laws right now. So the time to arm yourself is now. Arm yourself and train. Arm yourself and train. See the pattern here? Arm yourself and train so that if something comes up, you will not only be equipped with a weapon to do something to help protect yourself, but you will be trained in how to handle yourself in a situation. And all of us need to be doing that. Arm yourself and train. Because let's keep it real, as people of color, we are more likely to be killed than anybody else. And these white domestic terrorists, they are targeting us. They're coming after us. I heard it said on Roland Martin's show, on his digital daily show that he's doing right now. He was talking about how in 2043, the white population that's a majority now will be a minority at that particular point, and there's a lot of white people panicking about that. I can see that. Now, I hadn't looked at the statistic, and I'm not sure if that's an accurate statistic or not, but based on what we're looking at right now, that's a theory that I could kind of go with, because you got white people just losing it all around. We got a crazy person in the White House, which I'm sure is strategic. Then he's motivating through his rhetoric. He's inspiring all of these people, these white domestic terrorists, to go out and do what they do. And of course, he's going to get on TV and condemn it because he's under pressure to say something. He's just saying it just out of the fact that he's being pushed to say something. And we're in an election cycle right now. We're about to go into 2020, which is going to be another election cycle. Yeah, he's going to say what he needs to say to make sure that he doesn't totally just look totally like a fool. He's going to still doing what he's trying to do to win. And there's a political podcast that I'm going to do and just talk about some of that stuff, because that's crazy as well, what's going on in politics, which is always crazy. But right now, in this day and age, with everything that's going on, arm yourself and train, because these white domestic terrorists are coming after us as black people and people of color. Once again, not saying that a handgun can do anything against AK-47, but if there's enough of us out there to start to arm ourselves and are starting to be properly trained, then we'll be able to at least know how to tactically get out of the way, take cover, and perhaps be able to come together and protect ourselves, because we already know the cops ain't thinking about protecting us first. Case in point, The guy in El Paso went in there with an AK-47 killing people. They took him alive. The man that was standing out there selling cigarettes, they killed him. There's a great stark difference here, and I don't have to sit here and go into detail on what's going on. You can just simply go through and Google it and look at all of the black deaths that's happened that we can all just kind of look at with open eyes and common sense and say there's a problem with that. And then all of these white guys, they get taken alive. I mean, I don't have to go through all the statistics on that either. You can always just go through and Google it. We got a smart population of people that listen to me. So we already know what it is. Hey, arm yourself and train. Arm yourself and train. That's something we should all keep in mind. This is a simple, short podcast. Arm yourself and train. This is the reason why I put a warning in the beginning. Some of the stuff is not necessarily going to be as popular, and a lot of people aren't going to agree, but hey, that's the whole point of having a digital platform. We can all say exactly what the hell we want to say and what we believe. And right now, black people are being targeted by white domestic terrorists or white people. If you don't believe me, out of the last, count them. It don't matter. When was the last time that a black person has went out and just killed a multitude of people just for no reason since the DC sniper? Yeah, since the DC sniper. Now, we're not talking about black on black crime, that's a whole another issue. We're talking about in the sense of black person killing a multitude of people just for the sake of killing them. That's not typically what we as black people do. These white people are coming out here killing a bunch of us just for the sake of killing a bunch of us because we don't look like them. And essentially they are threatened by being on an equal and even playing field with us. So at the end of the day, while the getting is good, we need to make sure that we're right, and we need to protect ourselves and do whatever we need to do to protect ourselves. Keep our head on a swivel, as I've heard it said. Be aware of your surroundings. Keep an eye on what's happening. The bad part about it is we need to be looking at these doggone quote unquote ordinary looking white people a little bit more sideways than someone would do looking at what one person might think to be someone dressed as a thug or a gangbanger. Shoot, let's keep it real. The average thug or gangbanger is not really usually looking at you unless he's trying to rob you or something like that. But most of them cats are not, coming into a mall to shoot up a bunch of people. They're not coming into Walmart to just shoot up a bunch of innocent people. They have their own things that they do. So yeah, I say at this particular point, we need to keep our eyes a little bit more focused on the people that don't look like gang members than the people that perhaps do look like your stereotypical gang member or hoodlum or thug or whatever you choose to call them at this particular point. Because these white domestic terrorists, they don't necessarily strike you as somebody who you would see and be threatened by until you see them carrying an AK-47 and shooting you. Hey, let's keep it real. We need to get out here and protect ourselves and each other as black people and as people of color. We all in the same boat. These white people do not view us as the same as equals with them. Most of them anyway. Because as I've said before, and I make sure I say it again at the end of this episode as I close this one out, all white people aren't bad. All black people aren't good. Bad part is there's a big chunk of white people that are bad, and there's a big chunk of white people that are good that don't care because it doesn't affect them. And let's keep it real. There's a big chunk of black people that are in the cooning category, and there's a good chunk of black people that are down for do what's best for the population. And then there's a segment of black people who do what they need to do to get along because, I mean, hey, they do what they got to do, so, but right now in this particular time, as many of us as possible that are Black and that are people of color need to definitely have a general understanding that white domestic terrorists are after us. And we need to, when we're out and about, that Mexican person that you don't know is more of a brother to you than that crazy white person that's about to come in here and start killing you. I'm just saying. So, in the midst of it all right now, hey, arm yourself and train. White domestic terrorism is real. I'll see you next week on the Too Rich to Miss podcast. Make sure you check us out on YouTube. Make sure you check us out on all your on all of your podcasting platforms, and check us out on Instagram and Twitter. See you next week.